In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Desmos calculator to solve equations. This is the Virginia SOL calculator for our Algebra 1 students. You'll notice at the top it is a green bar, and it says Virginia Standards of Learning because that's what our state test is called here. The normal Desmos has a black bar across the top. There are a few features that are different, like we can only do expressions or tables. Typically, you have image and folders and other options. So those are not on the testing version. So for an equation, let's start with one we could just solve quickly. I would type it in. So this is the left side of my equation. The right side of my equation is 2. And if I were to solve this, I know that 2 plus 1 is 3. So if I look over here at my graph, it tells me that x is 2. So let's try a more complicated one. So what if they put variables on both sides? Okay, so at first glance, it looks like I have nothing here, so I would want to zoom out. And when I zoom out, I notice that I have an answer right here at -6. So x is -6. So if they give me the distributive property, it will also solve it. Okay, so then what happens if I'm going to type in a simple one again that we could solve in our heads? So when I do this problem, we know the answer should be 2. It shows a circle. So why does it show a circle? Because R, we're talking about R has a value. The same thing with E, X, Y. So those are all things that we can graph and we can talk about. So let's say if I use D. D doesn't have a value. I have the error sign right here. So my equation has D in it. I can't type in Desmos. Well, you can actually. As long as you change whatever letter they use to X, it will graph it for you. So it says, again, the answer is 2. So if you ever get that little caution sign over here, that just means that something is wrong. It's typically that the variable is not X, so it can't graph it. So it even does proportions. So I can type in a proportion. So to make a fraction, I can use the fraction bar, which is above the question mark, or you have a keyboard down on the bottom left that will let you type fractions. So in this case, I typed in my fraction, and when I look at my graph, it's not like perfect. It's like hitting right here. So in this case, my answer is going to be a decimal. So the cool thing is if I were to solve this by hand, I'm going to solve it by hand. So I would cross multiply. So as I'm solving by hand, you'll notice the lines are going to come on top of each other, which means that I'm doing it correctly. If the lines at any point are not on top of each other, then something is wrong with my equation. So far, we're good. I like my variable on the left side, so I'm going to move everything to the left and then my numbers to the right. And then I have x equals 23 over 3. And you'll notice it's all on the same line. So that is my answer. And if I needed to leave it as a fraction, I have the fraction answer. So there are 2 special cases that we study in Algebra 1, and those are all real numbers and no solution. So if I were to type in an equation that has all real numbers as an answer, if you notice in the beginning, I had a line, I had a graph on here, and now nothing happened. So first thing I want to do is zoom out real quick, make sure nothing's there. Okay, so I'm in really large numbers at this point. I don't see anything. So that means I would have to solve this by hand. It is either all real numbers or no solution, and that is why I didn't graph it. And I know that because it doesn't have the caution sign here telling me I typed something in wrong and no graph is appearing. So hopefully this helps you solve equations in Desmos.